Admiral Kane Sullivan stood on the bridge of the USS Titan, his coffee growing cold as he stared at the massive display screen showing empty space. The stars looked peaceful tonight, just like they had for the past 6 months. His crew worked, quietly at their stations, monitoring deep space sensors and checking communication channels. Everything seemed normal. Lisa Martinez sat at her communications desk, her fingers dancing across the keyboard as she ran routine scans. She had been doing this job for 3 years, and most nights were the same. Check the frequencies, monitor the signals, report anything unusual. Tonight felt different somehow, but she could not explain why. The first warning came at 11:47 p.m. Pacific time. Lisa's screen suddenly filled with red alerts as her sensors detected something massive moving toward the solar system. She blinked, hard, thinking her equipment was broken. The readings were impossible. Nothing could be that big. "Admiral Sullivan, sir," Lisa called out, her voice shaking slightly. "I'm getting some very strange readings on the deep space sensors." Kane walked over to her station, his boots clicking on the metal floor. He had commanded ships for 20 years and had seen many false alarms, solar flares, asteroid clusters, broken equipment. They all caused weird readings sometimes. "What are you seeing, Martinez?" he asked, looking over her shoulder at the screen. "Energy signatures, sir. Massive ones. At least 300 separate objects all moving together, toward Earth. They're about 6 hours away at current speed." Kane felt his stomach drop. 300 objects moving together meant only one thing: a fleet. He had hoped this day would never come, but Earth's military leaders had been preparing for it anyway. "Are you sure about these readings?" he asked. "Yes, sir. I've checked the equipment twice. The signatures are getting stronger every minute." Kane grabbed the red phone on his desk. This phone connected directly to NORAD headquarters in Colorado, where General Amy Foster was probably drinking her evening coffee and reading reports. In 30 seconds, her quiet night was about to become very complicated. "General Foster, this is Admiral Sullivan aboard the Titan. We have a situation." "What kind of situation, Kane?" Amy's voice was calm but alert. "Deep space sensors are showing a large fleet approaching Earth. At least 300 vessels, possibly more. They'll reach our solar system in about 6 hours. The phone was quiet for a long moment. Amy Foster had been a general for 15 years. She had planned for this scenario hundreds of times, but hearing it was actually happening felt different. "Are we certain these are hostile?" she asked. "Unknown at this time, but fleets that size don't usually come for friendly visits." "Understood. I'm activating Defense Protocol 7 immediately. Get your ships ready, Admiral." Kane hung up the phone and turned to his crew. Every person on the bridge was looking at him, waiting for orders. These were good people, sailors who had families back on Earth, who had never fired a shot in anger. Tonight that might change. "All stations, prepare for possible combat operations. Contact all ships in the fleet and tell them to move to defensive positions around Earth." Captain Jake Peterson received the alert aboard his destroyer, the Defiance. His ship was smaller than the Titan, but faster and more heavily armed. Jake had been in the Navy for 12 years and had always wondered if he would ever face real combat. Tonight he might get his answer. "Attention all crew," Jake announced over the ship's communication system. "We have detected an unknown fleet approaching Earth. This is not a drill. Move to battle stations immediately." The Defiance came alive with activity as sailors ran to their positions. Weapons were powered up, shields were activated, and damage control teams prepared for action. Within minutes, the ship was ready for war. Meanwhile, at NORAD headquarters buried deep inside Cheyenne Mountain, General Amy Foster was making phone calls that would change everything. Her first call went to President Ryan Clark, who was asleep. "In the White House. Mr. President, I apologize for waking you, but we have an emergency. A large alien fleet is approaching Earth." President Clark sat up in bed, suddenly wide awake. Like every president before him, he had been briefed on this possibility. Earth's governments had spent decades preparing for first contact, hoping it would be peaceful but planning for war. "How long do we have?" he asked. "About 5.5 hours, sir. The fleet is massive, possibly the largest military force ever detected. Have they tried to communicate?" "Not yet, sir. But at current speed, they'll be in weapons range soon. President Clark got out of bed and started getting dressed. I'm authorizing full military response. Do whatever you need to do to protect Earth. Yes, sir. As news of the approaching fleet spread through Earth's military, commanders around the world began activating secret bases and weapons that had been hidden for decades. In space stations orbiting Mars and Jupiter, human crews powered up defensive platforms that most people did not even know existed. At 3:15 a.m., the alien fleet finally appeared on visual sensors. The ships were beautiful and terrifying at the same time, sleek crystalline vessels that seemed to shimmer in the starlight. They moved in perfect formation, like a deadly dance through space. Lisa Martinez was the first to receive their transmission. The message came through on all frequencies, at once overwhelming Earth's communication systems with its power. Attention, primitive inhabitants of the third planet. The voice was cold and mechanical, translated by the aliens' own systems. I am Emperor Vextar, ruler of the mighty Zephyrian Empire. Your world has been selected for conquest. Images flooded. Earth's screens, burned planets, destroyed cities, millions of beings in chains. The Zephyrians had conquered over 1,000 worlds, turning entire civilizations into slaves. You have 24 hours to surrender unconditionally, the Emperor continued. Lay down your weapons, disable your defenses, and prepare for occupation. Resistance will result in the complete destruction of your species. The transmission ended, leaving Earth's leaders staring at empty screens. In space, the alien fleet took position around the moon, their weapons pointed at Earth like spears aimed at a target. President Clark appeared on television screens around the world. My fellow humans, he said, his voice steady despite the fear in his eyes. We face our greatest challenge, but we are not helpless, we are not weak, and we will not surrender. As dawn broke over Earth, people looked up at the sky with new eyes. Somewhere beyond the clouds, an alien fleet waited with weapons that could destroy worlds. But Earth's defenders were ready too, with secrets that would soon shock the galaxy. The 24-hour countdown had begun. Admiral Kethnos stood in the command center of his massive flagship, watching Earth spin slowly below him. The blue and green planet looked so peaceful, so weak. He had conquered 47 worlds for the Zephyrian Empire, and this one would be the easiest yet. Report on the human defenses, he ordered his intelligence officer. Very primitive, Admiral, the officer replied, studying his screen. They have approximately 200 ships in their space fleet. Most appear to be simple metal constructions, using chemical rockets for power. Their weapons seem to be basic projectile systems and crude energy beams. Kethnos laughed, a sound like breaking glass. 200 ships against our fleet of 800? And they call those things weapons? This will be over in minutes. Back on Earth, the situation looked very different. In a secret bunker buried 3 miles beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Elena Rodriguez worked frantically at her computer. She had been developing quantum disruption technology for the past 8 years, but had never tested it against real alien shields. How are the calculations coming along? Asked Commander Steve Baker, looking over her shoulder. Almost finished, Elena replied, her fingers flying across the keyboard. If I'm right, their energy shields work on standard quantum frequencies. Our disruptors should pass right through them like they don't exist. Steve nodded and walked to another computer station where Lieutenant Colonel Tony Williams was studying the alien fleet positions. Tony had been a fighter pilot for 15 years and now commanded Earth's hidden squadron of advanced fighters. What do you think of their formation? Steve asked. Too confident, Tony replied. They're spread out in a standard attack pattern, but they're not expecting any real resistance. Look at how they've positioned their command ships right in the front. No experienced military force would do that unless they thought the enemy was completely helpless. Meanwhile, on the alien flagship, Emperor Vexitar was growing impatient. He had given the humans 24 hours to surrender, but it had only been 6 hours. He wanted to start the attack early, to make an example of this pathetic world. Admiral Kethnos, I grow tired of waiting. Are the humans showing any signs of surrender? No, my lord. In fact, their military appears to be mobilizing. They're moving their primitive ships into defensive positions. Fools, Vextar snarled. Very well. We shall demonstrate the price of defiance. Choose one of their major cities and destroy it. Let them see what happens to those who resist the Empire. Intelligence Officer Mia Roberts was listening to every word. Hidden deep inside an asteroid between Mars and Jupiter, her listening post intercepted all alien communications. The technology had taken 20 years to develop, but now Earth could hear everything the invaders were planning. General Foster, she said into her secure communication device, they're planning to attack early. The Emperor wants to destroy a major city as a demonstration. Which city? Amy asked from her command center. They haven't decided yet, but it will be soon, maybe within the hour. Amy felt her blood run cold. Millions of innocent people were about to die just to prove a point. But Earth's defenders were not ready yet. They needed more time to position their secret weapons. Can we jam their communications? Amy asked. Negative. Their systems are too advanced, but I can keep listening and give you updates. Captain Jake Peterson received new orders aboard the Defiance. Instead of staying in Earth's orbit, he was told to take his ship to the dark side of the moon. It seemed like a strange order, but Jake trusted his commanders. Navigation. Set course for lunar orbit. Dark side. Maximum stealth. Sir, that will put us right behind the alien fleet, his navigator warned. I know. Do it anyway. The Defiance moved quietly through space, its new stealth systems hiding it from alien sensors. Jake did not know it yet, but his ship had been specially modified with technology that would not be revealed until the battle began. Back on the alien flagship, the targeting computers had made their choice. The city of Los Angeles would be destroyed. First, its 8 million people used as an example to the rest of humanity. Charge the main plasma cannons, Admiral Kethnos ordered. Target the large city on the western coast of the main continent. Weapons charging, Admiral. Plasma cannons. We'll be ready to fire in 10 minutes. On Earth, evacuation sirens began wailing across Los Angeles as satellites detected the alien weapons powering up. But there was no time to evacuate 8 million people. The city's inhabitants could only wait and hope their military had some kind of plan. President Clark was in the White House Situation Room, surrounded by his top advisors. On the main screen, they could see the alien fleet preparing to fire. Mr. President, General Foster said through the secure video link, we have assets in position, but we're not ready for full deployment yet. How long do you need? At least 2 more hours to get all systems online. We don't have 2 hours, General. They're about to fire on Los Angeles. Amy Foster made the hardest decision of her military career. Then we'll have to reveal one of our systems early. Commander Baker, activate the Pacific Defense Platform. Steve Baker's hands moved across his control panel, entering codes that had been top secret for 20 years. Hidden beneath the Pacific Ocean, a massive platform rose from the ocean floor. It had been disguised as an underwater research station, but it was actually one of Earth's most powerful weapons. Platform active and rising to firing position, Steve reported. The alien sensors detected the platform immediately. Admiral Kethnos stared at his screen in confusion. What is that structure? It wasn't there an hour ago. Unknown, Admiral. It appears to be some kind of weapons platform, but the design is far more advanced than anything else we've seen from the humans. Impossible. Their technology is primitive. It must be some kind of trick. Emperor Vextar grew angry at the delay. I don't care what it is. Destroy it, then destroy the city. Show these humans the price of resistance. Yes, my lord. Redirecting plasma cannons to target the new platform. But as the alien weapons turned toward the Pacific Defense Platform, something unexpected happened. The platform's surface began to glow with a strange blue light. Energy readings spiked beyond anything the aliens had ever seen. Admiral, the weapons officer called out, his voice filled with worry. That platform is generating massive energy signatures. Power levels are off our charts. How is that possible? The humans are supposed to be primitive. For the first time, since arriving at Earth, Admiral Kethnos felt a small touch of doubt. Maybe the humans were not as helpless as they appeared. But it was too late to change course now. The attack had already begun. The blue light from the platform grew brighter, and across Earth's hidden bases, Other weapons began powering up. Humanity's true defenses were finally revealing themselves, and the aliens were about to discover that they had made a terrible mistake. The first shot fired was not from the aliens. It came from the Pacific Defense Platform, and it changed everything. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched her quantum disruption cannon charge to full power. Years of calculations and testing came down to this single moment. Her finger hovered over the firing button as energy readings climbed higher than ever before. "Firing quantum disruption beam," she announced calmly. The beam that shot from the platform was invisible to the naked eye, but its effects were immediate and devastating. The quantum energy passed through the alien flagship's shields like they were made of paper. The beam struck the ship's main reactor, and the massive vessel simply vanished in a flash of white light. Admiral Kathnos had exactly 2 seconds to realize his shields had failed completely before his ship was destroyed. Emperor Vexitar died without understanding how primitive humans had just erased his flagship from existence. "Direct hit," Elena reported, her voice filled with amazement. Their shields provided zero protection. The quantum disruption worked perfectly. Commander Steve Baker immediately activated the next phase of Earth's defense. Hidden bases throughout the solar system began revealing themselves. On asteroids, moons, and space stations that the aliens had ignored, massive weapons platforms rose from concealment. "All defense stations, you are cleared to engage," Steve announced. "Show them what humanity is really capable of." Colonel Beth Harper commanded the lunar defense grid from her base on the moon's far side. For 10 years she had waited for this moment. Her quantum cannons had been built inside the moon itself, completely hidden from alien sensors. "Lunar grid online," she reported, targeting alien heavy cruisers. Her cannons fired simultaneously, sending concentrated antimatter bursts toward 12 alien ships. The bursts moved at nearly the speed of light, giving the aliens no time to react. One by one, the enemy cruisers exploded in brilliant flashes. 12 confirmed kills, Beth announced, recharging for second volley. On the alien command ship that had taken over after the flagship's destruction, panic was spreading fast. Admiral Zekmor had never seen weapons like these. His fleet was being torn apart by technology that should not exist. "How are they penetrating our shields?" he demanded. "Unknown, sir. Our shields are operating normally, but their weapons are passing right through them." "That's impossible. No primitive race has ever developed quantum disruption technology." "Sir, we're detecting massive energy signatures from at least 50 locations throughout their solar system. They have weapons hidden everywhere." Admiral Zekmor realized with growing horror that the humans had been planning this defense for decades. This was not a primitive world caught off guard. This was a trap, and his entire fleet had flown right into it. Captain Nick Foster commanded the USS Vengeance, one of Earth's most advanced warships. His ship had been hidden behind Jupiter's largest moon, waiting for the signal to attack. When that signal came, Nick activated humanity's most devastating weapon. "Gravity well generator online," he announced to his crew. "Targeting the alien fleet's center formation." The gravity well generator was Earth's greatest secret. It could create artificial black holes that lasted for exactly 30 seconds, long enough to destroy everything nearby, but short enough to avoid damaging the solar system. Nick pressed the activation button and space itself began to bend. A tiny black hole appeared in the middle of the alien fleet, and the laws of physics did the rest. 40 alien ships were pulled into the gravity well and crushed out of existence in seconds. "Gravity well successful," Nick reported. 40 enemy vessels destroyed. The remaining aliens tried to retreat, but they quickly discovered that humans had planned for that too. Lieutenant Colonel Tony Williams led a squadron of advanced fighters that had been hidden in the asteroid belt. These were not the primitive ships the aliens expected. "Ghost Squadron, engage," Tony ordered. His fighters used quantum phase drives that allowed them to appear instantly anywhere in space. One moment they were hiding among asteroids. The next, they were inside the alien formation, firing neutron torpedoes at point-blank range. Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez flew his fighter through the chaos, watching alien ships explode all around him. The enemy's plasma weapons could not even target his ship properly because it kept phasing in and out of normal space. "This is incredible," Sam said over the radio. "Their weapons can't touch us." The aliens fired desperately at the phase-jumping fighters, but every shot missed. Meanwhile, the neutron torpedoes tore through alien hulls like they were made of cardboard. Within minutes, Tony's small squadron had destroyed 60 enemy ships. Back on Earth, Admiral Kane Sullivan watched the battle from the USS Titan. His ship had not fired a single shot, because it was not needed. The hidden defenses were handling everything. "Admiral," Communications Officer Lisa Martinez called out, "we're receiving surrender requests from 17 alien ships." "Tell them to power down their weapons and prepare to be boarded," Kane replied. "Any ship that tries to run gets destroyed." The battle that the aliens expected to last minutes was ending after only 17 minutes. Of the 800 ships in the Zephyrian fleet, less than 50 remained, and most of those were trying to surrender. On the alien command ship, Admiral Zekmore stared at his tactical display in disbelief. His mighty fleet had been reduced to debris. The humans had not lost a single ship. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the human fleet," his communications officer reported. "Put it through," Zekmore said weakly. Admiral Sullivan's face appeared on the alien screen. His expression was calm but firm. "Admiral, I am Kane Sullivan of the Earth Defense Force. Your Emperor is dead. Your fleet is destroyed. You have two choices. Surrender now and be treated as prisoners of war, or die with your ships. Choose quickly." Admiral Zekmore looked around his bridge at his terrified crew. They had conquered worlds across the galaxy, but they had never faced anything like this. The humans had not just defeated them, they had annihilated them with casual efficiency. "We surrender," he said quietly. General Amy Foster watched the battle end from her command center deep underground. Earth's greatest test was over, and humanity had passed with incredible success, but she knew this was just the beginning. "Commander Baker, begin salvage operations. I want every piece of alien technology recovered and studied." "Yes, ma'am. What about the survivors?" "Treat them well, but keep them secure. We need to learn everything we can about their empire." As the last alien ship powered down its weapons, people on Earth looked up at the sky with new understanding. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, but they were also no longer afraid. They had proven that humans could defend themselves against any threat. The galaxy was about to learn that Earth was not a primitive world to be conquered. It was a fortress defended by the most dangerous species in space, humans who had been preparing for war for 50 years. 3 days after the battle, Admiral Zekmore sat in a holding cell aboard the USS Titan, staring at the wall with empty eyes. He had commanded fleets that conquered star systems, but 17 minutes against humanity had destroyed everything. He thought he knew about warfare. Admiral Kane Sullivan entered the cell carrying 2 cups of coffee. He set one down in front of the alien prisoner and sat across from him at the small table. "Your empire is falling apart," Kane said calmly. "We've been monitoring communications from across the galaxy. 17 worlds have already declared independence, since news of your defeat reached them." Zekmore looked up with surprise. "How do you know this? Your technology should not be able to intercept our long-range communications." "We've been listening to your empire's communications for 20 years, Kane replied. "We knew about your conquest plans long before you arrived here." The alien admiral felt a chill run through his body. 20 years? But that means we've been preparing specifically for you. Every weapon, every strategy, every defense was designed to counter Zephyrian military tactics. Meanwhile, Dr. Elena Rodriguez was in her laboratory, studying pieces of destroyed alien ships. The quantum technology that had seemed so advanced to the Zephyrians was actually quite simple compared to human science. Their shields use basic quantum frequency modulation, she explained to Commander Steve Baker. Any first-year physics student could design a weapon to penetrate them. "So they're not as advanced as they claimed?" Steve asked. "Technologically, they're about where we were 50 years ago. They've just been bullying civilizations that were even less advanced than they are." General Amy Foster was receiving reports from across the galaxy. Earth's hidden spy satellites placed throughout space over the past decades were sending back incredible information. Ma'am, Intelligence Officer Mia Roberts reported, 43 worlds have now broken free from Zephyrian control. Their empire is collapsing faster than we expected. What about other potential threats? Amy asked. We've identified 6 other major powers in this galaxy. 3 of them are sending diplomatic messages, requesting peaceful contact with Earth. The other 3 seem to be waiting to see what we do next. President Ryan Clark was in the Oval Office preparing for the most important speech in human history. In 1 hour, he would address not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. Mr. President, his chief of staff said, the aliens are requesting permission to speak with their surviving crews. Grant it, Ryan replied, but monitor everything they say. Back in space, Captain Jake Peterson was overseeing the salvage operation around Earth's moon. Hundreds of alien ship pieces floated in space being collected by human recovery teams. Captain, his communications officer called out, we're receiving a transmission from the Andorian Republic. They want to establish trade relations with Earth. Jake smiled. The Andorians had been slaves under Zephyrian rule for over 300 years. Now they were free, and they wanted to be friends with the humans who had liberated them. Tell them we'll be happy to talk, Jake replied. On the lunar base, Colonel Beth Harper was training new crews to operate the quantum cannons. Earth's military leaders had decided that the galaxy needed to know humanity was ready for any future threats. Remember, she told her students, these weapons can destroy a ship from 50,000 miles away, but they should only be used to protect innocent people. We're not conquerors, we're defenders. Lieutenant Colonel Tony Williams was briefing his fighter pilots about the new missions they would be flying. Instead of defending Earth, they would be patrolling the galaxy, making sure no other empire tried to enslave weaker civilizations. Our job has changed, he explained. We're no longer just Earth's defenders. We're the galaxy's peacekeepers. Emperor Vexitar's son, Prince Kieltar, was trying to hold together what remained of the Zephyrian Empire from the capital world of Zephyr, Prime. But with each passing day, more worlds declared independence. Father was wrong, he admitted to his advisors. The humans are not primitive. They may be the most advanced military force in the galaxy. What should we do, my lord? Asked his military commander. Send a message to Earth. We want to negotiate a peace treaty. Captain Alex Thompson was commanding a salvage ship near Jupiter when the message arrived. His crew had been collecting pieces of alien technology for study when the communication came through. Captain, his radio operator said, we're getting a message from something called the Zephyrian Empire. They want to talk peace. Forward it to Earth Command, Alex replied. This is way above our level. Dr. Rodriguez was amazed by what she found in the alien computer systems. The Zephyrians had detailed maps of the entire galaxy, showing the locations of thousands of civilizations. Steve, look at this, she called to Commander Baker. They've been cataloging every intelligent species in the galaxy for centuries. Most of these civilizations are still in early development stages. Perfect targets for conquest, Steve said grimly. Exactly. But now that the Zephyrian Empire is collapsing, these worlds will be free to develop on their own. President Clark stepped up to the podium in the White House press room, but this time his audience was not just Earth. Thanks to captured alien communication technology, his words would be broadcast to every civilization in the galaxy. People of the galaxy, he began. I am Ryan Clark, President of Earth. 3 days ago, the Zephyrian Empire attacked our world, demanding our surrender. They have been defeated. Across the galaxy, billions of beings watched and listened as the human leader continued. Earth does not seek to replace the Zephyrian Empire. We do not want to conquer anyone, but we will not allow any power to enslave innocent civilizations. From this day forward, Earth's military will patrol the galaxy, protecting those who cannot protect themselves. On Zephyr Prime, Prince Kieltar watched the human president's speech with growing fear. The humans were not just militarily superior. They were claiming to be the galaxy's new protectors. My lord, his advisor whispered, What if they decide we're too dangerous to be allowed to survive? The prince had no answer. Commander Julie Adams was monitoring alien communication networks from her space station when she detected something interesting. 3 other major powers in the galaxy were discussing an alliance against Earth. General Foster, she reported, it looks like some of the other galactic powers are worried about our new role. They're talking about forming a coalition. Let them talk, Amy replied. If they're smart, they'll realize that cooperation is better than conflict. If they're not smart, they'll learn the same lesson the Zephyrians did. As President Clark's finished his speech, he made humanity's position clear to the galaxy. We offer friendship to those who come in peace. We offer protection to those who need it. But to anyone who thinks they can threaten innocent worlds, remember what happened to the Zephyrian Empire. Earth is watching, and we are ready. The galaxy had entered a new age. Humanity had emerged not as conquerors, but as guardians. The species that had once looked up at the stars wondering if they were alone now, looked out at the galaxy, knowing they were its protectors. The Zephyrian Empire's greatest mistake had been attacking Earth. Their defeat had freed thousands of worlds and changed the balance of power across the galaxy forever.